Okay, so this is going to be a little weird segment that I have here in my video. Unfortunately, I can't avoid wearing my glasses doing this, so we're going to have to deal with the lens glare. That's why I don't like wearing my glasses in videos. But basically, while I sew some beads onto some Roman tunics, I'm going to answer a really interesting question I got onto my channel. The thread that I'm using for this task is the Gutermann's silk thread in black. So the question reads as follows: tell us about your personae while you mend, prep, create, especially if the task is something that doesn't require your whole brain. Things like who are they, what they do, where are they from, do they have a backstory you might want to share, etc, etc. What limitations have you had for bringing those things to life for your persona? I suggest these things because they're kind of things I'm interested in for my own. I'm pretty sure you've talked about some of these things already, and of course, what you do or don't talk about is entirely up to you. Okay, so basically to answer that question, in SCA context, for those who aren't aware, I am a member of the SCA, and so that basically means I'm part of the Society for Creative Anachronism, and it is like medieval reenactment but more recreationally, and it's not a super strict reenactment, and creative things are very much allowed. Within the SCA, you create things called persona. So that's basically who you are, who, like, not essentially like a character in the LARP sense, but just something that you base your costumes off of, like something that's like a class interest, a kind of occupation, that kind of thing. And it's not exactly like a LARP, but it does have LARP-like elements. And one of those elements, like I said, is creating a persona. A little side note, these are the little glass beads that I'm going to be sewing onto my tunic. Have a sort of moon and star kind of shape to them. And of course, like, some people, they absolutely know what they're into, and other people, they're just like, I don't know, like, stuff is just cool, history is cool, man, like, I can't settle for one thing, which is exactly what I did, if that makes sense. In my case, I have a couple different personas. I generally like a lot of pretty things, so me making my German arc, that's still happening. It's just a lot has happened in the meantime where it just took precedence over. But yes, so sometimes I like just to make things that I view as like I want, and I just generally have like a pretty boy aesthetic kind of thing to myself, as well as an actual persona I have within the SCA. I have two officially, and they're both registered with names and device / a badge, heraldry for example. And my first one, I kind of made when I was just getting into the SCA. When you're first getting into the SCA, you don't want people telling you what to do. And sometimes people will try to not like take advantage of that in a bad way, but they'll influence you based on what is very popular in your local SCA. So for example, my local SCA, it's Viking, and a lot of Viking stuff has been popularized because of the Vikings TV show. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. This is just like my own experience. So my first persona, I went with something very easy for me to do because I was very, very new at sewing at the time, very new at costuming, historical, anything. Like, I was brand new to everything. And that was about 2 years ago. And so my first persona doesn't necessarily have any kind of like development, if that makes sense, beyond just I like expensive things and I want to look pretty and I'm a boy. So for my first persona, I am a Jarl's son, and I just make expensive Viking Age stuff for myself. I typically, I did do a little bit of research into like what kind of Viking. So I am technically Hiberno-Norse, which means that it is Norwegian Viking settled Ireland. I just really couldn't settle on anything, and people just kept pushing me towards Viking. So that's why I have a Viking persona, and it's not like I'm angry or like anything like that about what had happened. It was just I joined at a very weird time, especially just it's still like peak COVID. At least for where I am, we were still shut down a lot of the time. And being very new to costuming but really wanting to get into it, I knew nothing about tailoring, nothing about like even researching. And I'm not saying that you need to know this too or that you need to get into it, just Viking seemed very easy for me because there was just a lot on Viking stuff because it was easy and it was popular and ready in an easy digestible format. Again, brand new to costuming and reenactment, so like a lot of the clothing was very new for me, and just you have to kind of get used to it as everything is made from a different time and different technology. So crotch gussets feel different. They are absolutely different. They're for a different need. They're made because of different, with different technology. And crotch gussets, especially the Viking Age crotch gussets, they don't like to be machine sewn. So if a new person has ever like had trouble with a crotch gusset from the Viking Age, it's because they were probably sewing it on the machine. And again, machine sewing's not bad, but just sometimes the different technology just doesn't, it just conflicts. So a lot about my first persona is not well researched, but also a lot of research into a persona takes a while, and especially it's a lot easier now with a lot of research being put online through PDFs and all of that kind of stuff. So my first SEA persona, to be basic, is just, again, very basic, very simple. In my mind, not that much research has been put into it beyond just like Jarl's son. But there's no specific Jarl, there's no specific like little town or anything that my persona's from, just Jarl's son, rich boy, pretty boy, you know, that kind of whole shtick. Which was fun and nice, and it made costuming pretty easy because, again, I liked just making things. Just in the first few months alone of my SEA career, my gear kit changed exponentially because I also made a friend who taught me how to research. So that being the case, again, to sum it up, my first persona was just very basic, very run-of-the-mill, but I could create things that were to stand out. And after essentially just 5 months on the SEA, I got my AOA for costuming, and because I essentially just literally not even just stuck my toe in, I took a headfirst dive into the deep end because I have all this time to fill, and I just haven't, not like health-wise, been able to recover from the pandemic, but just more of life-wise. So I just have a lot of time to kill. But as my SEA career progressed, if that makes sense, I made friends, I was going to practices, I was going to events, all that kind of jazz. Like I met people and I experienced things, and I started to figure things out on my own in a real life scenario rather than online and going to just online meetings that were just really social meetings. And nothing wrong with like social meetings. I'm just like a grumpy person, not a huge socializer at all. Like if you met me in real life, I'll just be like, cool, bro, and not in like aloof, I'm better than you way, just not great at socializing. So once I started meeting people and making friends in the SCA, that's where my experiences took me. And one of the people that became one of my bestest friends is my Squire brother. Like we got Squire to the same night, and he has a Japanese persona, typically Sengoku, which is 16th century Japan, during like the warring states and all of that. So samurai, that's him, right? And one of the days he just kept spamming me photos of just people, and like that people just doing things in their everyday lives. Especially, again, he knows I like pretty things and like pretty boyness, so he was sending me like pictures of like upper class people, and he's just like, oh, look at these pretty silks, look at this extravagance and all of that kind of stuff. You like this, don't you? Huh? I know you like this. And so I was just like, okay, fine, twist my rubber arm. I'll join Okami House, which is the house that we're in. My knight is not a part of this house, and he is a really aloof knight. He's really good about that. He's just helping us towards our goal of knighthood ourselves and teaching and all of that kind of jazz, you know? And so I actually developed a persona for joining Okami House. Here are my two little beads. This is the neck hole, and this is, will be sitting like right here. So my Japanese persona, again, pretty boy, very high class. This one's more, not necessarily like royalty class, but it's still nobility. Technically, not technically, but I have two different Japanese personas that are just kind of merged into one. But I have a samurai persona, as well as I have a oiran persona, which is a sex worker. And oiran are like majority, if not only female, though mine is a male oiran. And I chose oiran because they're very, very, very high class. They're very high on the nobility scale, and they would have come from noble families as well. I've had education, and they would have had skills like playing instruments, playing games, and tea ceremonies, and that kind of thing. I chose oiran over tea house worker, which is what male sex workers were typically more aligned with. But because tea house workers, more lower class, and I again, like, I just enjoy the opulence. So the way that we landed on an agreement of these two things was that my family, I guess, is more of like a disgraced samurai family, and while we still have money and nobility, we're not in high social standing, and that is why it's okay that I am a sex worker. Again, like, I'm 100% okay with sex worker. I'm pro sex worker on this profile and in life, as well as I am part of the known world courtesans guild, as well as I help organize a branch here in my kingdom as well. Because I just enjoy these kinds of things in life, it was just a lot of fun to research into and figure out. Now, again, I'm still learning, I'm still researching, I'm still always putting effort into like progressing my kit, understanding culture, understanding traditions, understanding all of that kind of jazz. I have started teaching my own classes, specifically in my kingdom, and I do have plans on putting together more classes, and I guess a lot of that description and outline will be on my Patreon, though a lot of that stuff that I do through the SAA, like the patterns and all my classes and like all my PDFs, will be free. It's just one place where I can consolidate all of my data and be like, here you go. It's still like a learning path to figure out like where I'm actually going, because again, I just enjoy making things. And again, like even right now, this is all Roman stuff. I don't have a Roman persona, but camping made me realize that Roman clothing, so good for the heat and humidity, because that's where the clothing was originally made for. Camping with the Japanese stuff, I haven't like fully camped with that, but just again with how I like doing all like the pretty boyness and all of like the layers that involves with like the details and the silk. As much as it is a natural fiber, it's just not the best for being like heat, humidity outside all day, every day, for a couple days in a row. So finding a balance between like lower class stuff out of necessity versus the higher class stuff out of my persona is just a bit interesting to navigate. This is a huge rambly answer to your question, so I hope it was enjoyable and insightful. What I'm currently working on, or just about to finish, or adding like the beads, so it's just again another thing I can cross off of my list, and so we're going to go do that. Okay, so I've been chucking away at these, and I have both the colors on, though I still have to put the sleeves and sew up the sides. So right now it's just a big poncho. I'm already really loving it. I already love how I decided to offset the collars, so that way that the pink is on like the blue in this kind of way. And because I'm making two of them, I kind of did them opposite, and I'm so happy that it turned out excellent because, you know, sometimes mistakes are made. And just on the first try, I have it all nice and set up, so it's just like, you know, and I don't know, I'm really happy with how this project's turning out so far. Next up is just inserting the sleeves as well as doing up the side seams. I am planning on doing like that gap so it breathes nice and well. So I'm going to figure out how that gets done and show the finished project, because other than that it's just finishing up some seams. And these are done, baby! You know? Woo! I just want to call these like my Barbie Kosode because it's like pastel pink and pastel blue and like girly pop, if that makes sense. Just chugging away at this last night as well as some of it today. I have finished both of the Kosode. Colors are on. I know I have to do some better stitching on this one. It was really rushed and it didn't come out great, and so I have to definitely fix that. Good news that it's mine, or the one that I've designated as mine. So I don't mind that it's a bit shittier than the other one, because the other one's not mine. Both their collars on, it's sewed up, sleeves with a really lovely gap here. The way that I figured out to do this is basically finish both edges all the way around, and then these ones are just attached at these points and above around on the shoulder, and then the side seam is sewn up where the sleeve meets its end. That's kind of how I figured I should go about doing it after looking at my kimono as well as online stuff, though a lot of the online stuff tended to be very modern and very, very westernized, and especially westernized sewing practices. The Kosode are done. So this one has blue, pink, and is like this. I find the sleeves just a bit long for my liking, but it'll do. It's fine. And then this one, mine, is the blue, and I think I like this one a lot better for myself. So this is the one I'm taking. Okay, as of right now, this is done, as well as this, and these. Leaving only the summer dobuku, and nothing there. These ones, just based on like the time I have, these are kind of like more extras, and they are like things I need to repair and finish, but I'm just gonna take them off because this is not happening. Some of these does have to happen, so that's staying. And realistically, this is all that's happening. I'm going to finish this afterwards, just based on the time I have left and how I feel about making things right now. This is definitely an after Pennsic thing, and will be my last thing for a while. So just realistically, this and these is all I have left, as well as time to change that. Seeing this countdown is, ugh. I did leave a note that at the 7th day mark, it is time to start doing the laundry. And that's going to be soon, so that's why I have to start doing this now. So that concludes today's video. I believe this will be my last video of Pennsic prep going up before we go off for Pennsic as well. I'm going for War Week. There will be like another video following maybe sometime after or sometime detailing making the summer dobuku, which will be just again another separate video as it's part of like a complete different series. I'm super excited because I'm finally getting to start that project arc, and I've been dying to make it so far. So here is my Barbie Kosode. Pastel pink, pastel blue. I think with this one, specifically with the blue being the main color showing on the left because it's left over right, I will be wearing my green hakama with it, being as I only have 2 pairs of hakama, this one as well as a pastel blue, which is very similar to this blue, and I think that's a bit too much blue, just a bit too much blue. So the pastel blue ones will be worn where this side is pink and this side is blue because it cuts down on the amount of blue. That makes sense. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, as well as I've started a Patreon. I'm kind of finding it hard to do this channel as I do this channel more as a time filler, as it's very hard for me to find a job in my area. And I've been trying so hard. But yes, so I only have 2 tiers for my Patreon, and these are them right here. If you're interested, that's everything is linked down below, as well as everything that I've used making these Barbie Kosode, so my patterning, as well as I guess materials, though I can't link to you these specific fabrics as these are just thrifted bed sheets because it's just flat fabric. If you enjoyed, I'll see you again next time. Bye!